Hi, this is Math 1115 remote delivery for May 5, and this is part 2 of 2, and this is a video where we go over the solutions to the quiz over Chapter 5 and Chapter 6. You probably want to have the quiz out as we go through this in pencil and paper in hand, and to make it a real learning experience you may want to pause some of these things because I plan to go. Some opening comments. Quizzes are for learning, so do not get upset if you did not do well, but make sure that you learn from the experience, because some of these questions might find the way onto the final. Also realize this is how the final exam is going to happen. So I'm going to be sending it to you, posting it in Blackboard, and you'll be putting answers in. So make sure you're familiar with that and able to do this. Chapter 7 will not have a quiz, but it is in the scope for the final, so make sure you understand that material. And that's why John's review and the discussion that we're going to have in class on May 6th becomes so important as your preparation for the final. The grading of this quiz is still ongoing. I'm not finished yet. Your project is due on Wednesday. That's tomorrow as I'm talking. This will be self-graded and self-reported. It's another opportunity for you to improve your score. And I do plan to do an individual grade audit. More on that on Wednesday. Your year-to-date total will be 2/3 of your grade. The final itself is mandatory. You do not get a passing grade unless you complete the final, and it will count heavily. It will count for the remaining 1/3, just as we said all along. I do recognize that this has been an extremely challenging term for you and for me. And when I go about the end of term grading, understand that the quality of mercy is not strained. Number 1, you are pledging to be academically honest. There will be a question like this. If you did not answer true to this, you get a 0 on this exam, and you will get a 0 on the final exam. So make sure that you do take it with academic integrity. Question number 2, you were to determine if the ordered pair is a solution to the system of equations. Well, it works in the first equation, but it doesn't work in the second one, so the answer is no. If you put these numbers into the second equation, you'll get something negative there. That's just not going to work. Number 3, 2 equations and 2 unknowns, definitely in scope on the final. If you solve this, and it's good to solve this by substitution, you will get that x is 5 and y is 3. Another one. Now this one involved fractions, so you could clear the fractions, multiplying by both sides by 9 up here and multiplying by both sides 12 down here, and then solving. But at the end of the day, you will get x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 3. Those are the 2 answers. Number 5, this was a word problem. If we let C be the cost of the candy bars and S be the cost of the sodas, then we have a setup that 3 times S plus 2 times, 3 times candy plus 2 times S is 14, and 4 candy bars plus 3 sodas is 19.5. So this is the set of equations you have to set up and solve. If you solve them, you'll find that the sodas cost $2.50 each, and the candy bars were $3 each. Number 6, you were asked to look at this and say, does this have one solution, no solution, or an infinite number of solutions? Well, what happens is, if you think through this, you will find that these 2 lines have different slopes. That means it has to have one solution. Here's a similar problem like this, and if you finding is there one solution, no solution, or infinite solutions, you'll find out that these 2 lines have the same slope but different intercepts. That means they're parallel lines. There is no solution. Here you had to solve for k. Now, for something to work, it has to work in the original equation. So at the outset, when I work a problem like this, I say, oh, k can't be minus 9. Keep that in mind. And then I go through and I solve the problem, but I find out that if I solve the problem, k has to be minus 9. That means there's no solution because k equal minus 9 does not work here. A lot of times in your book they will say check back. I prefer doing that at the beginning, but you never really know. So you have to find what the solution is and substitute back in. This is number 9. We were to factor this completely. The first thing we did was factor out a common factor, and then we factored the rest of it this way. And this is prime. This will factor no further. So this is the correct answer that you should have gotten for this problem. That is factored completely. Here's another one you were to factor completely. And by the way I'm probably going to ask problems like this is actually have you solving equations like we did in Chapter 5. So you'd be setting this equal to 0. I think solving equations is more exciting. I couldn't ask those questions here because we hadn't talked about that yet. But that's the way I probably would ask questions like this. So here is, you had to factor this completely, and if you factor it completely, you get this as your exact answer. Here's number 11. Now this is the difference of perfect squares. This is 9t squared, whole squared minus 16 squared. So you factor it once, but then you say, oh, here is a factor again. This is going to be 3t whole squared minus 4 squared, so that's factoring again. So what we have is the final factorization of that is these 3 factors. Now, more than ever, time is precious. Each day must count. Do the math. It will make you strong. And now, more than ever, take care of yourself and each other.